I had no idea what I was walking into. Friday night, mid-October, just as the air was starting to bite with the first real chill of autumn. I was halfway through a video game when my phone buzzed with a group text from Mia Harper, the girl in my class who could convince anyone to do anything. Come to Emma's sleepover tonight. No excuses. We've already got a spot for you. I blinked at my screen. A girl's sleepover? For me? I started typing out a polite, thanks, but no thanks, when another message popped up. Don't overthink it, Alex. You'll have fun. Promise. I don't know why I hesitated. Maybe because Mia had a way of making you feel like saying no meant missing out on something life-changing. So, against my better judgment, I said yes. By the time I got to Emma's house, the place looked like something out of a Pinterest board, strings of fairy lights draped across the walls, fluffy blankets in pastel colors piled high, the faint scent of strawberries in the air. The living room was arranged in a circle of beanbags and cushions, and in that circle sat Mia, Emma, and 4 other girls from our class. They all turned to look at me when I walked in, and grinned like they'd been waiting for this exact moment. Alex. Perfect timing, Mia said, springing up and linking her arm through mine before I could even take off my sneakers. I tried to keep my voice casual. Thanks for inviting me, but are you sure I'm not crashing something? Emma tilted her head. Oh, you're not crashing anything. We want you here. She said it like there was more to the sentence, something unspoken. I sat down awkwardly on one of the beanbags, feeling every pair of eyes on me. The chatter resumed, but it was different now, like there was a secret I wasn't in on. After a few minutes of games and snacks, Mia suddenly clapped her hands. Okay, we all agreed. It's time. My stomach tightened. Time for what? The girls exchanged mischievous glances. For your makeover, Mia said, dragging out the word like it was some grand reveal. I laughed nervously. Oh, haha. Very funny. You're joking, right? Nope, said Emma, already pulling a cosmetic bag the size of a small suitcase from under the table. We voted. Unanimous. Before I could protest, the bag was unzipped, revealing an overwhelming collection of makeup, brushes, nail polish, and oh no, hair accessories. Guys, seriously, I started, but Mia crouched in front of me, her voice low. Alex, just trust us. You'll like it. And here's the thing, part of me did want to see what they would do. I'd never admit it out loud, but I'd always been a little curious about what I'd look like done up, not in a just-for-fun way, but in a what-if-I'm-not-who-I-think-I-am kind of way. Still, I shook my head. I don't know. Mia smiled. Then let us show you. The first brush touched my cheek, and it was like a switch flipped. The chatter around me faded into background noise as foundation smoothed over my skin, making me look different. My lashes felt heavier as mascara darkened them, my lips warmer under a soft peach tint. And then Emma said, "We're not stopping at makeup." She stood and walked to the hallway, returning with something draped over her arm. My pulse quickened when I saw it, a silky lavender pajama set, delicate, lacy, and definitely not something meant for me. The girls were all watching now, smiling, waiting for my reaction. And for a second, I didn't know whether to run for the door or lean into whatever this night was about to become. I stared at the pajama set in Emma's hands. The fabric shimmered under the fairy lights, its soft lace edges catching the glow. My mouth went dry. That's not for me. Exactly, Mia said, grinning like she'd just won a bet. That's the point. The other girls chimed in, overlapping voices. You'll look great. It's just for tonight. Don't chicken out now. It was like being swept into a current I couldn't fight. My protests shrank under their enthusiasm. And somewhere inside, that tiny, buried voice, the one that had stirred when the makeup brush touched my skin, whispered, "What if you like it?" Mia placed the pajamas into my hands and said, almost conspiratorially, "Bathrooms down the hall. We'll wait." I could feel my heartbeat in my ears as I closed the door behind me. For a moment, I just stared at my reflection, the faint blush on my cheeks, my lips tinted peach, my hair slightly tousled. It was still me, but softened. I changed slowly, the silk sliding over my skin like water. When I looked back in the mirror, my breath caught. I didn't look like the Alex who walked in tonight. I looked like someone I didn't know yet. When I stepped out, the room went silent. Not awkward silent, more like electric. Alex, Emma's voice was almost a whisper. You look amazing. Heat rushed to my face, and I instinctively wrapped my arms around myself. You're exaggerating. No, Mia said firmly, standing to circle me like a fashion critic. You fit in perfectly now. Before I could process what that meant, Emma pulled out a small velvet pouch and tipped it into her palm. Out slid a delicate silver charm bracelet with a single lavender gem dangling in the center. Every girl at our sleepovers wears one, Emma said, fastening it around my wrist before I could protest. It's our pact. Pact? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Mia leaned in with a sly smile. You'll find out what it means before the night's over. The rest of the evening felt different. When we played Truth or Dare, I noticed the dares were more pointed, the truths more revealing. When someone dared me to strike a model pose, they all clapped like I'd just won a runway show. It was fun, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't just playing along. And then, right before midnight, Emma whispered something to Mia, and they both looked at me. Okay, Mia said, her tone suddenly serious. It's time for the real reason you're here. The chatter in the room faded as the circle of girls tightened around me. I could feel the silky pajama sleeves brushing my arms as I shifted uncomfortably on the beanbag. What exactly do you mean, the real reason I'm here? I asked. Emma exchanged a glance with Mia, then said, We've been planning this for weeks. That didn't help my nerves. Planning what? Mia sat cross-legged in front of me, her voice lowering like she was about to tell me a secret that wasn't meant to leave the room. Do you know why you've never been invited to one of our sleepovers before? I shook my head. Because these nights aren't just for hanging out, she said. They're for making someone one of us. I blinked. You mean, like a club? Something like that, Emma replied, but her smile had a knowing edge. Once you wear the bracelet, you're in. And once you're in, she let the sentence trail off, leaving the air heavy with implication. The bracelet suddenly felt heavier on my wrist. I fiddled with the lavender charm, trying to read their faces. So, this is some kind of initiation? Not exactly, Mia said, leaning forward. It's more like discovering the version of yourself you didn't know existed. The way she said it made something twist in my chest, a mix of curiosity and unease. Before I could reply, Sophie, the quietest girl in the group, spoke for the first time that night. It happened to me 2 years ago, she said softly. I wasn't supposed to be here either. But after my first sleepover, she smiled faintly, almost shyly. I couldn't imagine going back. Going back to what? I asked, but Sophie just shook her head, like she couldn't explain it in words. Emma clapped her hands suddenly, breaking the tension. Okay, time for the midnight challenge. The girls lit a row of scented candles along the coffee table, their flickering glow casting strange shadows on the walls. In the center, they placed a small mirrored tray and a basket covered with a silk scarf. What's in there? I asked. Mia grinned. Your next step. She whisked away the scarf. Inside the basket lay an assortment of accessories, hair clips, ribbons, and something else that caught my breath, a long, wavy wig in a soft chestnut brown. You're not serious, I said, though my voice lacked conviction. Oh, we're very serious, Emma said, holding it up so the curls shimmered in the candlelight. Once you put this on, you're officially part of us. The room was silent except for the soft crackle of the candles. Every eye was on me. My heart raced. I didn't know if I was ready, but some part of me feared that if I said no, I'd never find out what this pact truly meant. Slowly, I reached for the wig. The wig felt heavier than it looked, its smooth curls spilling over my fingers. I stared at it for what felt like a full minute, my pulse loud in my ears. Mia leaned forward, her voice barely above a whisper. Go on. Try it. You'll see. Something in her tone made it sound less like a suggestion and more like an invitation into another world. I lifted it toward my head, hesitating just long enough for Emma to take over. Here, let me, she said, stepping behind me. Her hands were surprisingly gentle, positioning the wig so it sat just right. I felt the cool edge of the wig cap press against my hairline before the weight of the curls settled over my shoulders. When Emma spun me toward the mirrored tray, I didn't recognize the person staring back. The chestnut waves softened my jawline, framed my face differently. Combined with the makeup and lavender pajamas, the reflection didn't look like a boy at all. The room reacted in a way I didn't expect. It wasn't laughter or teasing, it was a kind of hushed awe. "You look perfect," Sophie said quietly, and for the first time, I believed she meant it. Mia smiled in a way that almost felt proud. "See? I told you." The midnight challenge continued, though it didn't feel like a challenge anymore. The girls began treating me like I'd always been one of them, offering beauty tips, adjusting the wig, even letting me in on whispered jokes I knew they didn't share with just anyone. But there was something else too. Every so often, I'd catch them exchanging quick glances when they thought I wasn't looking. Like they were checking off a box in some invisible list. At one point, Emma slid a folded card across the table toward me. "Don't open it until morning," she said with a sly smile. "What is it?" I asked. "Your first task as part of the group," she replied, and the way she said task made my stomach flip. We moved on to a movie, but I could barely focus. The feel of the wig, the bracelet on my wrist, and the card in my lap all seemed connected pieces of a puzzle I didn't yet understand. And then, just before the credits rolled, Mia leaned over and whispered in my ear, "By tomorrow night, Alex won't exist anymore." I woke to the soft scent of vanilla and the rustle of voices outside the blanket fort. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then the silky feel of the lavender pajama sleeve against my arm reminded me. The wig was gone, but my hair was a mess from sleeping. The bracelet, however, was still on my wrist, the lavender charm cool against my skin. When I stepped into the living room, the girls were already gathered around the coffee table, sipping tea from mismatched mugs. "Good morning, Alyssa," Mia said casually. I stopped mid-step. What did you just call me?" Emma smiled without looking up from her mug. "It suits you better than Alex." My first instinct was to correct them, but the way they all seemed to silently agree, as if this name had already been decided, made me hesitate. Mia slid the folded card from last night toward me. "Time to open it." I unfolded the paper, my eyes scanning the neat handwriting. "Your first task. Wear the outfit in Emma's guest room. No questions. No changes." My stomach tightened. "Outfit? What kind of outfit?" "You'll see," Sophie said, grinning in a way that was far too pleased. The guest room looked like it had been taken over by a boutique. Laid out on the bed was a floral sundress, a cropped cardigan, a pair of nude tights, and ballet flats, everything perfectly matched. A hairbrush and a small bottle of perfume sat neatly beside it. I turned to find Emma leaning against the doorway. "We've all done a first-day outfit," she said. "It's part of becoming one of us." I laughed nervously. "This is a lot." "It's supposed to be," she replied.